All right, we are on. We are here with, is that Andrew? Yep.
We're on, but Andrew said,
We're we're on except for Andrew. So this is episode 1 of the Bad Marketers Redemption. Poor Andrew. Our third wheel is not on. So we're going to get right to it. I can tell we're going to be doing a lot of post show editing, which is all right. That's cool. I'm Ben Bradley. This is Nate Forrest. And we are doing what we told ourselves we were going to do probably 10 years ago, and that is do a daily podcast or recording.
daily.
Daily. Well, weekly. Weekly, but we're going to do 2 times a week now. My bad. I'm getting a little overzealous here, but something we've been talking about doing for a long time. I've kind of life took me in a different direction for several years, and Nate's been kind of in and out and actually really charging hard with this with MWR. So we really kind of got back together and really decided this is where we're going to really put the rubber to the road and start doing this for real. And it's at the end of the day, it's all about content and marketing. And so what this whole show is going to be about is marketing the way you want to do it in 2026, not 1986. And there's a lot of ways we can do that. And we're going to kind of share that with everybody. And hopefully you'll enjoy it and come along for the ride and stay with
I
us.
wasn't supposed to wear my 1986 shirt.
I was hoping you wouldn't, but it looks like you did. So we're just going to roll with it. And that's
Welcome
cool.
to bad marketing, starting with bad shirts.
Bad marketing and bad fashion. So that's a separate podcast, but we'll have to we'll have to do that on a different date. So anyway, getting right into this, Nate, kind of give the viewing community here a little background on yourself and what you're up to most recently and why we're doing what we're doing here.
Well, we're having a conversation about the most important, in my opinion, the most important concept or principle in any business. If you're watching and you want to make $1 in business, you need to think about your marketing. I studied marketing in college, Ben, but I use exactly 0% of what I studied in college to build my current business. My current business is I have a travel club of over 3,000 members around the world that I started just about 12 and a half months ago. And I built a 6-figure business in less than 11 weeks by just providing value in the marketplace and doing what I know how to do by creating noise and attention and bringing awareness on social media. And I think what we're going to talk about tonight is the concept of just showing up in front of your audience. That's what I know how to do. I have a target audience, so we're not going to get into that right now. I have a specific type of person that I talk to in my business. You would say, well, yeah, Nate, people that like to travel. Not necessarily. Everybody likes oxygen. Everybody likes to travel. But I have a specific type of person and a specific type of content that I create in the marketplace. It's how I show up on Facebook, on Clubhouse, on TikTok, on Instagram. We're going to talk about all that. We're just going to talk about how to show up in the marketplace, who to show up for, what to say for that who, for that person, and then how to convert that message into sales. Marketing is the art and science of communicating with people based on their needs, wants, and desires, and not our own. And so that's what we're going to talk about. A conversation about marketing. How do we show up? Where do we go from here, Ben? Lead the show. Lead the flow.
Yeah. So what you just said is huge, and there's a distinction here because anyone who's done or is doing network marketing to any degree knows that when you join, there's like the standard, from like Amway forward, there's the standard of how, you're taught to do things. It's, you make a list of 100 and all this kind of stuff. And so if you've been in any network marketing business in the past, this is true, right? And so we're in 2026. We've got so many different resources available to us. And the reality is that there's a way to grow your business and to scale with content. And I'm just going to say right now, if you're not comfortable being in front of the camera, whether it's your own smartphone, like Nate is taking pictures here, which is interesting. He's taking pictures of me talking to him on a,
I'm
on a video
posting on
podcast.
Instagram right now. We're talking about
Yeah.
how we show up, and I just took a 10-second clip of us recording a podcast, and I'm gonna post it up on Instagram so people can see the behind the scenes. It's just attention in the marketplace. We'll talk about all that.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that in a minute when we start talking about actual strategies and tangible strategies here. But the main thing is, so I was getting to, if you're not comfortable getting in front of the camera or taking a video of yourself, this is just not going to be for you, and you might have to just trudge it out and do it like the old school fashion, and it can work. It's just a lot harder, and it's just not as enjoyable, I think. But anyway, long story short is, there's a lot of reasons why people don't get in front of the camera. They make excuses why they can't make content, and comfort is what kills more businesses than any bad economy. Comfort allows you to not have the motivation and the desire and the fire in you to not move forward and do what you need to do, which is going to be create content. So what Nate and I are going to talk about is some actual tangible strategies with taking video, very simple things that you can do. As we kind of move forward with this, we're going to release some PDFs and trainings and things like that, and how to, communicate with us and learn how to actually do these things. We have, learning how to do a content calendar, how to use your smartphone, how to use, all the different kinds of videos you can take, step by step, how to do it, how to distribute that content, right? So that's all going to be huge. Nate, real quick, I want you to explain what you just did and why that's big and how simple and easy that is. You were literally kind of dinking around with your phone there for like 2 minutes.
It might look distracting to the podcast viewer, but sometimes when you're filming a podcast, you're having a conversation, you're on a Zoom, take 10 or 15 seconds, record it. You can post it up on Instagram. They didn't hear what me and Ben were talking about. I threw some music on it. I said, The Bad Marketer's Redemption, episode 1 coming soon. So it's just a teaser to get attention in the marketplace, to let people know that we're talking about marketing, that we're providing value, that we're showing up. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is stepping out of your comfort zone into uncomfortable so that you can become fruitful in the marketplace. Now, I have a calling in life to step. God doesn't want us just to be comfortable and in a nice little bubble. He wants us to step outside of comfortable and become fruitful. We'll talk about that a little bit. And I want to hear what Ben does in his business to step into the uncomfortable and to become fruitful. But John 15:8, I wrote down a note, Ben, says, my Father is glorified by this, that you bear much fruit. And I want to share a couple of talking points that I wrote down. If you want to become fruitful in the marketplace, give value and get results and make money and show up, fruit requires action. It requires planting. We're going to talk about how to plant in the marketplace. It requires work. It requires seasons and understanding those seasons, and you do not accidentally bear fruit. So I just wanted to share that I'm in a season where my business is producing results. Efforts that I took in the past, marketing efforts, conversations, and strategies that I've done in the past is multiplying. And I just want to say, Ben, that God doesn't promise comfort, but he promises purpose. And then if we will listen to him, if we will listen to what we're called to do in the marketplace, I think we experience supernatural results. And we'll talk about that. As you can tell, there might be a little faith-based messaging in our content. If you're not a believer, stick around, because I believe that the principles in the Bible, especially Proverbs, can help you build a business, can help you with communication. And I'm going to sprinkle that into our conversation a little bit, along with what Ben shared, concrete strategies that are working for me that I've learned. And because a lot of people are watching, looking for an opportunity, looking for a way just to get a result in business, that's what we're here to talk about, is how to help you step out of being a bad marketer and into the bearing fruit stage of getting results in business like I do, like Ben does. That's why we're here, to have the conversation and share our experiences, our stories. Let's get into it again.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start off, and I'm gonna tell a story. This is a experience I had, and something that maybe a lot of people watching this can appreciate because you've been there. So years, this is going back probably 2010, maybe. I was in a company with a friend of mine who I was working with, working for, and I got a message stating that there was going to be a millionaires tour where the top four earners in the company were coming to Houston, and all everyone's going to be there. There's going to be like 1,000 people in whatever the hotel it was. I can't remember which one it was, but we were going to learn all the things that they did to get to their multi-million dollar incomes. So I was stoked. I went and started out with, there's a lot of people just milling around and kind of talking to each other, and then it kind of got started. Then there was a couple of local leaders got up and spoke and gave their story and how they got ahead, and telling testimonials about other people that are in their organization. Then it finally got to the main show. It was the main people that were involved, and there was four of them. And they introduced the first guy, and he comes running from the back, and he's super jazzed, and he's high-fiving, and he's hugging people on the way up and all this kind of stuff. Gets to the front, he goes through his story, and I'm waiting. I got my pad and paper. I'm ready to take notes. Like, what did this guy do? I'm gonna copy what he's doing and make it my own, and I'm gonna do this. Make as successful as he is. And he talked about affirmations. He talked about how he didn't discriminate as far as who he talked to, and he talked to everybody, and the 3-foot rule and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, and then he gets off the stage. He went on for like 15 minutes, and then he gets off the stage and introduces the next person. And they're talking about how much money she's making. She's making, 7 figures, and she flew her helicopter here and the whole 9 yards. She comes up and she tells her story. Same thing. And it was, all the cliche stuff you've heard a million times. And so, like, you're thinking to yourself, well, number one, I must have bad breath when I talk to people. Like, there's something that I'm doing wrong, because if I'm talking about the same things that they're talking about, and they're having all the success, and I can't get 3 people to sign up with me, then this problem must be me, right? So she gets off the stage, and now I'm thinking to myself, I was like, I'm starting to think maybe this is just a rah bullshit session, and it's gonna, it's just trying to get people to sign up and get people jazzed up. But the people who are in it, and people who have been around for a while, I don't know. Like, I was not buying it. I was getting to that point. Third guy comes up, same thing. He's running around. He's doing the whole 9 yards. He's slapping 5 with everybody, hugging people. Same thing. Then the fourth guy gets on. Same thing. He's in the middle of his shtick, and I was so pissed off. I got up and I started walking out. And there's people. I remember there was 2 young guys near the door, and they were saying, they're like, "Where are you going? He's just about to get." And I said, "Dude, have you been here for like the last hour and a half?" I said, "No one has said anything that none of us have ever heard before. Like, and we're sitting here like getting all jazzed up and excited." That pissed me off to such an extent. I felt like such an idiot. I sat through this, and I actually thought that they were going to share actual, real, strategies to get where they were. And they didn't. They said the same crap that everybody else is. And the reality was, each and every one of them at some point was in a company, or something, and they brought a downline over, and whatever it wasn't, you start from the bottom, and they were doing what they said they did. It was a bunch of baloney. Anyway, long story short, that pissed me off to such an extent. And it always stuck with me that I said, if I was ever going to do network marketing again, it was going to be legit. It was going to be, we're going to come up with strategies to actually help people, to actually, expand your awareness, so to speak. And then, of course, with all the tools with the internet, and now, AI coming into fruition, coming into the popularity mainstream. Now there's all these resources that we have, that we can actually do this, and you don't have to go and talk to 8 million people, and get your family pissed off at you because they, you never leave them alone. This is normal conversations that you can start with people that you would do normally, that you're starting, you're making a friend first before you ever start talking about what you're doing in a company. And that's the big differentiator with what we're talking about here and what we're trying to teach moving forward. And, I might step on some toes with some of the things I say, because I do have a lot, and I'm a little bit of an outsider. I don't have enough fingers to count how many network marketing companies I've been in, but I'm a bit jaded of some of the ways that I was taught, and from family. I have very successful family members who, like, no one can stand, because you can't have a normal conversation with them without going into whatever the hell they're doing, and I can't be their nephew, right? It's just like, and that's
This
annoying.
is good, because this is the foundation of this podcast. What's the difference between a bad marketer, somebody that says, Ben, you got to check out this business, you've got to buy this product, you're an idiot if you don't buy this product. So what's the difference between bad marketing, bad communication, and being a good marketer, somebody that makes 7 figures, 6 figures, sells lots of products, and more importantly, the people that buy the product from you or partner with you in business, they love it. They're like, man, Ben, thanks for sharing this with me. What's the difference? There's 2 types of people out there in business. There's bad marketers, there's good marketers. There is no other, I guess there's average. Average is still bad. But we're going to talk about how do you show up so that you're the marketer, the entrepreneur, the business owner that gets respect, that people appreciate the value that you bring to the marketplace. They appreciate your leadership. They appreciate the words that you share. They want to buy more. They don't just buy one widget, but they want to buy more. They don't just buy the small membership. They buy the most expensive membership, or whatever it is that you're marketing. And so we're going to talk about how showing up is a skill. And you mentioned something that people just on stage share the same message. Sometimes we try to sell confidence and faith and energy and mindset and belief. And those are all the most important things. But if we spend too much time talking about you just have to have faith, you just have to have belief, and not giving people action steps, confidence follows action. Belief follows action. Action rarely follows creating confidence first. Not every time, but it's important to understand that we need to know what to do. And if we just start doing it, we'll create that confidence. We'll get her. And sometimes it's a tiny result, Ben, that gives us that confidence. And so we're going to talk a lot about the concrete steps that we can take in business, whether you're a network marketer, a digital marketer, an affiliate marketer, a small business owner, you sell hats, you sell coffee, whatever. If your goal is to sell something and earn $1 profit, especially online marketers, digital marketers, and network marketers, we're going to talk about how you can stop just talking to people and networking, which is a powerful marketing strategy, but how to create marketing that draws in your ideal clients, draws in sales, so that you can become a powerful marketer, not a bad marketer. That's what the bad marketer, what's it called again? The bad marketer
redemption.
Yes, that's what the redemption is all about. Start getting sales.
You said something that was big, which is small victories and small wins. And I remember when I first started network marketing a million years ago, I was brought in by a family member, a successful family member, and the steps were easy. It made sense, but there's a lot of reasons why it won't work for you. One is I was 18 years old and I had no credibility. Who the hell's going to listen to an 18-year-old, right? Number 2, like I didn't have any credibility. I didn't have any skills. I didn't know really. I could talk to people, but I didn't really know how to talk to people. Of course, I was 18. And when you're taught to do these things, and that everybody's taught, because there's got to be a standard so you can teach everybody. And unfortunately, it's usually to the lowest common denominator so that everyone can kind of learn it. The problem is that when you're doing that, most people can't get a victory. So they've got, no after no after
and
no.
Victories, small victories lead to the credibility you're talking about.
Right.
Sometimes people,
right.
They lead to authority. They lead to credibility. They lead to appreciation and respect. And that's what we need in the marketplace to be a better marketer.
Yeah, you got to parlay each win. So, and you can't go from 18-year-old nobody to, making thousands a month and having people respect you. It doesn't work that way. And so it's very difficult to get to that point, because I was being taught to do it a different way, which was completely not realistic for me and a lot of people. So again, what we're talking about here is actual strategies. We're going to get into something real quick to kind of give the meat and potatoes here, to start with some small wins. So like, obviously we talk about, talking to people, how to approach people, offline, online. In this case, we're talking about online. Gary Vaynerchuk, if you're familiar with, marketing and business and you listen to podcasts and stuff, you probably have heard of Gary Vaynerchuk. He came up with a strategy that he talks about called the $80 method. And so he talks about, going on Instagram and in your niche, basically finding, 90 people and giving your 2 cents, right? So that's your $80. So 90
like
people,
that.
you go on there. In fact, there is actually an app called the $80 method where it helps you. But anyway, I don't get off the topic here.
Oh, this is good. I've never heard of this principle before. And so 90 people, give them your 2 cents. How do you give people your 2 cents? Like,
so you go in. Yeah. So you go in, you make a meaningful comment on their post, right? And so you may not be, it does take a while because sometimes you have to search a little bit to get somebody who's got a little bit of traction. You got to search someone who has a meaningful post that you can actually come up with something to say something nice about. But you go on, you say, hey, I love what you did with X or whatever, and make a meaningful post. And you do that. You really should keep track of who you're posting for or commenting on, because you want to do them multiple times, 2 or 3 times, because they'll start seeing you post or commenting on their posts. After that, then you hit them with a DM. Hey, I really, I really like your stuff, whatever the case is. I'd love to learn more about you. Right. So keeping it open-ended, keeping it friendly, basically how you would actually, someone you're interested in, how you'd actually approach them, in person, right? You want to be genuine. You want to be, open. You want to be approachable, and you want to be interested in them, right? Interested in what they're doing. That conversation where you can actually look for an open door where you're asking questions about them. How did you get here? How did you, once you get the conversation going, how did you get to where you're at? What are some of the struggles you had? How did that change the way you've moved forward since then? And you get them talking about themselves and their business, because everyone knows people like to talk about themselves. You listen for open doors where they talk about a struggle they had. That's going to be your cue that you kind of leave for a little bit later when you want to actually approach them with something, right? So it's that type thing. So your $80 is going in your niche, finding people that are talking about what your industry is, product, service, whatever the case may be, and making a meaningful comment. And it can be Instagram, it can be Facebook, it can be LinkedIn, doesn't really make a difference. But leave a meaningful comment, do it 2 or 3 times so they see you, they start recognizing you, and then you go for the DM. Don't try and DM them right up front. Just leave comments, right? And not only that, you'll have other people who are active on their profile, who are watching those posts, are going to see you commenting, and they're going to look at you. So there's going to be a lot of, sideline stuff going on that you can't see. So you want to, obviously, not going into something different, you want to make sure that your profile is in line and that your message is in line, so that when people start looking and lurking with you, that the message is in line. So,
well, what we're talking about is marketing is making the decision to show up. We're talking about the importance of showing up, and we're getting into the how and who to show up for. Tonight, we're not going to talk about necessarily your target audience, although that's important, but showing up is a skill set. Making a decision to show up is the most important first step in marketing. But then once you start making the decision to show up, you have to understand that the marketplace rewards visibility. It's better. Basically, obscurity in the marketplace, people not knowing you exist, is more expensive than rejection. So we need to embrace rejection. But once we get past that mindset issue, that's a mindset thing. People can't join you. They can't buy from you if they don't know you exist. And what Ben is sharing is a powerful strategy that anybody with zero budget or any kind of budget can take using social media, the power of social media, showing up on other people's profiles. Ben, I created 2 methods that I've learned from, and I've learned from mentors, and they both work for me well. One is called the calls method, and one is called the 4S method. And they help people do what you're talking about. You find somebody, you show up on their profile, and you leave a comment, you compliment them, you mention a commonality, you ask them questions, you listen and learn something about them, and then the S, you can sell the next step. It's a powerful way to build a network marketing business, a digital marketing business, any type of business. And so we can teach that on a different podcast episode, but that's how to communicate with people in their world, on their profiles, also on the telephone, wherever you are, face to face. Remember that, the calls method: compliment, ask questions, listen and learn, and then you can sell the next step. The next step is going to be different for everybody. But the 4S method is what I wanted to mention, because you said the importance of seeing people, paying attention to what they want. The 4S method is show up. We're talking about how to show up in the marketplace, serve your audience. We'll let you guys figure out how you're serving your audience, but then you see them and you want to become genuinely interested in what people want. And if you do this, if you show up consistently, you serve your audience with value, you entertain them, you educate them, you make them laugh, you inspire them, however you're called to serve your audience, then there's an important thing is you see people become genuinely interested in what they want. Ben, I heard you mention earlier that you'd like to take more vacations. In fact, I have a vacation club that you may or may not be interested in, but if I send you a quick video that talks about our vacation club, would you want to take a quick look at that? That might be the next step. Or I have this weight loss shake. Ben, you mentioned that you've been thinking about losing 10 pounds. I've got something that actually worked for my wife. I don't know. It might interest you or not. Would you want to take a look? But these lines, people always want to know what to say, Ben, to make a sale. They only work if you show up, serve people, and see them for what they really want. Because if you show up, serve your audience, and see them, become genuinely interested in them, the 4th S, you can sell the next step. The same S in the calls method. And that's
and I think,
simple method.
And I think people get hung up on something. So showing up is obviously the first part. If you don't show up, none of this matters, right? But don't get hung up on the fact that, oh, I have to know everything, or I have to be the expert, and I have to, I need to have the pitch down and memorized and all this kind of stuff, right? You don't have to be the expert. In fact, I remember when I was in retail management, there was a joke that if you were in training, they're like I'm in training kind of tag there that you wore. And so one of the guys that worked for me, he was there for like 3 years, and he still wore the training badge. And the reason is because you get a lot of grace when people think you're in training, right? So you don't need to have this. It's psychologically, it's a lot less pressure when you don't have to be the expert, and you can hand that, and you can borrow Nate's credibility, right? So if you're talking to somebody and you're interested in them, you're showing interest in them, and you're asking them questions about themselves, their business, their life, whatever the case may be, and they're building rapport, and then you hear that open door, and you're like, hey, listen, I don't know if this is right for you, but like, I got a friend, and he does such and such, and man, it sounds like you might be a good fit for that. It's like, would you be interested in I'd be happy to send you his link, and you can see if this is something that you'd be interested in, because it sounds like you guys would make a perfect match. And I know nothing. I don't have to know anything. I don't have to explain anything. Because I'm new. I'm the dummy. I've not claimed any credibility. I'm not standing on any stature, and I'm just borrowing Nate or whoever, Carla, Brian, whoever's in Nate's organization here. It doesn't matter. So don't get hung up on thinking that you have to know everything. This is just another one of those things where, like, again, show up, but then like what Nate and I are going to talk about kind of in the weeks and days going forward is these small things that are going to make it a whole lot easier. Number one, to talk to people, because you're not going to have to be the expert. You're not going to have to know it all. How to actually tangibly create content, and then how to distribute it so that you can show up. People's awareness of you, people seeing you. And by the way, Nate, I remember the name of the guy that I was talking about before. It was Jonathan Budd. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Nate and I were talking earlier about like people just like blowing up out of nowhere, and you see them everywhere on the internet, like all of a sudden. And like literally that's what we have the ability to do now. And we're going to get into this in a later episode, but you can take a reel, take your phone, do a green screen with an article or something going on in your industry behind you and just comment on it. Just give your reaction. And it can be, it doesn't have to be genius, right? It can just be something, your opinion on it. And you run video view engagement ads to that on Facebook. $2 a day. You're talking like an investment of like $10. You'll get thousands of views, right? And what if you're doing that over and over, like every week? You have a super small budget, but the same people are starting to see you, and you're creating an invisible list of people who are lurking, people who are interested, people who are seeing you. And it's hard to not think somebody has more knowledge or has more stature than you when you keep seeing them show up and you're not, right? It doesn't take much, right? So if you know just a little bit more than the next guy, then you might as well be an expert. If you show up a little bit more than the next guy, then you might as well be Tony Robbins.
People might be thinking, okay, well, these good marketers like Tony Robbins, like Jonathan Budd, like Tai Lopez, like Russell
like Nate
Brunson,
Forrest,
they could, like Nate Forrest, like Ben Bradley, they can show up. You guys can do it, but I don't know how to show up. And what I want to jump in here and share, Ben, is let's put this entire podcast, this episode and the next 1,000 episodes under an umbrella. Building a business is simple. It's starting conversations with the right people, starting quality conversations, and creating content. Now, whether it's free content on social media or a paid ad or a commercial on TV that you pay $1 million for, the commercials we see on the Super Bowl, that's just content. It's content to bring awareness of a brand. So how do we build a business and get results? Start conversations with the right people and create content that turns into conversations. And marketing is the flow from taking a attention to a conversation to a potential transaction. Now, every business is going to be different. You might do the transaction on the telephone, inside of a retail store, on a website where they click on a button and buy your thing. For me, it's a lot of one-on-one phone calls and websites and Zooms. That's where we make our transactions, and sometimes face-to-face. But as we go through this podcast, this conversation, think about who you're talking to. And for most of you, once you decide, okay, I'm going to start more conversations, now we'll get into the how. How do we have conversations? And that's just pay more attention to what other people want than what you really want. And Ben, here in a minute, I don't know if you're ready, but we're going to get into talking about how we create more content than we consume. Because it's important when it comes to marketing that we don't just spend our day scrolling through social media entertaining ourselves, but that we create before we consume, we post something valuable before we scroll, and we serve our audience before we spectate. Because it's important that we become producers, content creators, and serve our audience and not spend our whole life just consuming. I'm about to eat a delicious salad for a snack, but whoever marketed all this salad product, and I've got a cauliflower pizza in the oven, that's not my business. But a lot of times we spend too much time consuming on social media instead of turning it into business, into 6 figures, 7 figures. And it's easier if we just show up, start conversations, and start it with the right people. Are you ready to get into content creation or not quite yet?
I think Nate's ready to consume a salad. So hopefully your microphone will not pick up your your smacking, because I know that's a pet peeve of a lot of people, but and including myself. So let's keep that to a minimum. So with the few minutes we have left here tonight, I'll give one piece of advice as far as a strategy, and that is, like Nate said, consuming comes later. That's like your nice. That is your your recreation. The priority is creating. Now, I will say this: you need to discipline yourself, because you need to find something that you're gonna comment about. The easiest step one, okay, the easiest thing you can do is find something within your industry, whether it be another video, an article, or something, right? And you're just going to let's say it's on Instagram, you can download it, you can save it and download it, and then you can go and do a reel, and then you select green screen, and basically you either play that video behind you, or if it's a static image, you put that behind you, and you just basically give your opinion, your reaction. It doesn't have to be earth shattering. It just has to be relevant, right? There's certain times when you want to come off with a training or something. If you have something that you really need to get out, and it's
Simple, simple and consistency compounds. That's
right.
just something that popped in. What you're talking about is simple, but sometimes people are like, it's too simple. And I did this 10 times in a row and nobody replied to my comment. But if you keep doing it, if you keep asking questions, if you
Right.
keep complimenting people, it compounds. Go ahead.
Right. And there is a method to this as well. Like there's pillar content, which is like maybe something that's more long form, that's educational. And as you kind of get better at this, then you'll have that, right? But your everyday content is going to be something very simple and quick. You can do this literally 5 times a day. You're not posting once a week or once a month. It's literally 5 times a day. It takes 10 minutes maximum, right? You do a green screen video, you reply or you react, or you give your opinion on something, and that's it. Now, when people see that, it's good to do it as stories as well, because stories pop up, right? When you first open Instagram and Facebook, the first thing you see are stories, the people that you interact with, right? That's the easiest thing to get seen quickly. That leads to the next thing. People are like, oh, that interests me, that's relevant to me, and they click on your profile, and next thing you know, they're looking for something else you did, right? So this compounds, like Nate said. You're doing this, even if you only do it twice a day, you're doing 2 videos a day. That's 14, 15 videos a week, a month. Now you start doing the math. You've got a lot of content out there. Now, going forward, now maybe, you feel a little bit more comfortable on the camera, and you're feeling more comfortable talking. Now, maybe you jump on with one of us or someone in your upline, in your team, and you do like, a 30-minute podcast or 30-minute recording on the things that you learned in the 30 days that you just did creating twice a day, right? And so now that's becomes your pillar content, and all these smaller pieces lead people kind of up. It's like a reverse funnel, right? People see your small content and they start moving up, and they start seeing your pillar content. Now you're becoming, you're credible, and people have, the old word from the 2000s, gravitas, right? That's how you build momentum. That's how you have small victories. Each video you accomplish and you post, celebrate, because each one that you post is a victory. And the next one's a victory, and the next one's a victory. Small victories, small wins compound. And like Nate said before, they turn into something bigger because you can parlay those. Right. So,
and I wrote down a question: how many opportunities or businesses were lost, or businesses weren't built because people were waiting for perfect? And you didn't mention perfection, but perfection is procrastination in disguise. And so we're talking about small wins. Creating content and just getting it out there is a win. So people watching this podcast, we're not talking about perfect marketing. We're just talking about get stuff out there, show up on people's profiles and leave comments, post a picture, post a video, share your heart, share your inspiration, share a marketing tip, share something you learned from this podcast, share something you learned from a YouTube video. But perfect.
Because we're going to run out of time here in a second, but I just want to put this in here real quick, because this is something I do on LinkedIn, but you can do it also elsewhere. So if you have a ChatGPT account, this is what you do. At the end of the day, write down the things that you did all day today. You went to the grocery store, you went to the bank, you got your haircut, all those things, right? So think about it. Was there anything noteworthy? And it doesn't have to do with your business at all, right? Just something noteworthy. And it could be something like, it's a pet peeve of yours. You could have been walking in the grocery store and a 12-year-old was in their parents' grocery cart. That drives me crazy. I can't understand that. I would have got the heck beat out of me if I tried that. But go to ChatGPT and tell them you want to create a post out of this experience and relate it to my business, and tell them what your business is. And you put it in there, and you will be shocked when you see what comes out of that. and there's your post. If it's a static post, like if it's just like, it doesn't have to be a video, it doesn't have to be you sitting on camera.
Yeah.
You can do a picture of yourself going like this or something, like you're getting mad, but then the text of what ChatGPT gives you, it's a great idea. And that can, that produces great
And
content.
take lots
like
of pictures. Marketing is what you just said. When you're out and about, you might not ever use it, but take a picture of yourself at the grocery store. Take a picture of you walking in or walking out, or with your shopping cart, or at a ball game, or walking out of church, or whatever. Because then later you do what Ben says. You use ChatGPT to help you create a piece of content. You just throw a picture on with it, and it'll get more attention in the marketplace.
Yeah, if you direct ChatGPT or Claude, I found ChatGPT is good for this strategy. If you give them the framework of what it is, and then you tell them, I need you to relate that to network marketing, or relate that to weight loss, or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You'll be shocked at how good the content is, that how they take your story, and it, some people are like, wow, it's slop. It's actually not AI slop, because you're not asking it, hey, write me an article about, a travel or a weight loss, and MLM or whatever. You're actually giving them a story, which is your story, and having them actually connect it. It's not slop. It won't have any problems, if you're trying to rank it, if it was somewhere like on your webpage or something. The reality is, it's interesting because stories sell. Facts tell, stories sell, and people get interested. I mean, that's just so basically tonight we've given you two things you can do. You can look through Instagram, find something interesting in your industry, do a green screen and do a reaction, give your opinion, give your observation. That's one thing. The second thing is, make a diet, make a list of at the end of your day, sit down with a drink like I'm having right here, is vodka and soda, and all the things that you did today, all the menial tasks you did, anything that was noteworthy, someone cut you off in traffic, someone did that, whatever it was, it doesn't matter. And take one or two of those things, give it to ChatGPT, give it the prompt, connect it to my business, whatever it is, and see what it comes up with. You'll be stunned at how good it is. And then you'll have text posts, and now you're starting to get variety on your Facebook wall, right? Variety on your Instagram wall, because you can take that and create a picture out of it, on Instagram or LinkedIn, whatever the case may be. So tonight you've heard one, comfort kills, and it's a liar, and procrastination is killer, and some of the best ideas were never came to fruition.
Perfection and the pursuit of perfection is procrastination, and that's the killer in a business.
Yep. Showing up, and then how to show up. We've given you two ideas how to show up. One with the green screen reaction, observation. One with the your daily journal, if you will. I remember years ago, I was following a guy named Jason Fladlin. If any of you guys knows anything about webinars, he's like the godfather of webinars. And I started following this guy when he was painting houses in Iowa, doing nothing, right? But he had a couple info products that I bought when he first started, when he was nobody. And he was talking about how to write articles and doing bum marketing. If you remember 2010, that's how long I've been in the game. And he said something which stuck with me today. And he said, think in articles. And like anytime I see something noteworthy, and that kind of translated when ChatGPT came around, that's what I started doing. I started taking that experience and using ChatGPT to put it together for me. I'm not the best writer, right? But I have the idea, and I can give the prompt to ChatGPT, and it can put it together and make a really cool piece of content. And it's interesting. It's not just some BS. It's a story, and people love stories. You can catch them quick with the first line, and next thing you know, you've got retention. So that's what I'm going to finish with tonight. Nate, get a couple final words on your ugly shirt and the great piece.
Well, I want to ask the audience when they're watching. I have a community called the Club Aim Life, which is full of business owners that are in network marketing, digital marketing, affiliate marketing, small business owners, and they're all just looking. They're all looking for better ways. Welcome to the Bad Marketer Renegade
Redemption. God dog, man.
Redemption. But I have a community that helps people become better marketers step by step. And I want to ask the audience tonight that's watching the replay, if you wanted to become a better marketer over the next 90 to 100 days, what would you do daily? You show up. How do you show up? You post content. How do you show up? You start conversations. How do you show up? You follow up with those conversations. How do you show up? You serve your audience with your skill sets and your God-given abilities. How do you show up? You collect decisions with the people that you follow up with. It's simple, not easy, but consistency compounds. It's simple to start a conversation and say, hey, Ben, we haven't talked in a while. Let's connect. It's simple to follow up with Ben and say, hey, I sent you that video. Did you take a look at our offer, whatever that is? It's simple to post content, and we're going to go into the different ways to create content and post content here throughout this podcast. But tonight, we just wanted to emphasize that you just have to make the decision to show up. Put some words on Facebook, whatever it is. Good morning, Facebook. What are you going to do today? There you go. How hard was that one, Ben? Put a picture, a portrait mode, a tip that helps me, Ben. Portrait mode, a selfie. I just posted on Facebook before this podcast. I shared a marketing tip, and I did a portrait mode selfie of me in my little life hat and my vacation shirt, and I posted it on Facebook. Portrait mode, people want to know who they're doing business with. So the types of content that we'll go in, text-based, image-based, video-based. We'll break that down. There's short videos, there's long videos. You don't even have to talk in your videos. Ben, you can do a 7-second video or a 15-second video of you walking into a grocery store. You can put up some text on it, some inspiration, a question. It's called B-roll. But Ben, what's working now, B-roll is good, but what's working now is yapping videos like we're doing right now. Talking head videos. Turn your camera on and start yapping. Let people know that you have a heart, you have a mind, you have a tip, you have inspiration. If you do that consistently, daily, that's the best way I know to show up. The two best ways to show up is a phone call or a video. Video or a phone call. Make 10, 20, 30 phone calls a day. Post 2 or 3 or 5 videos a day. You'll build a 6 or 7 figure business. I've done it. Ben's done it. And you can do it too. We'll show you step by step inside of Club Aim Life, or you can just keep coming back to the podcast and we will answer all your questions. We'll share all the stuff that we've learned. That is what we're going to talk about, how to stop being a bad marketer and become a good marketer, a great marketer, and lead more people to buying your stuff. And not only buying it, but feeling like they ripped you off. Ben, let's talk about that on another episode. How to build a business where each of your customers, your clients, feels like they ripped you off because you sold them $100 thing or $1,000 thing, and they feel like they got $1,000 or $10,000 in value. Let's talk about how to make our clients feel like they ripped us off. We'll do that on a future episode.
All right, so I got 2 things to say. One, we can maybe interview the guy who sold you that shirt who ripped you off, number 1. and number 2, maybe Nate can show you how to travel the world and take a vacation to Skid Row and find a homeless guy taking his shirt off his back. Oh, God. So I guess we got to end the podcast with a little bit of roast action, but Nate can choke on his vegan pizza. Life is good for Nate. He's eating vegan pizzas and kale salads.
Cauliflower crust pizza, and we got a world full of people out there that are trying to sell meat, beef and pepperoni to people that are vegetarians. And we're going to teach you how to
beef.
I don't know what this is. I don't know. It's delicious though.
All right.
Welcome to the Bad Marketers Resurgence.
Resurgence. Welcome to the bad shirt, bad memory redemption.
To life. Let's just call it life.
Welcome to life. Yeah, we'll see you on the next recording. Peace.
Stay tuned.